What is going on, guys? We are back with another video today, and we're going to be having a lot of ratings videos today. I wouldn't say tomorrow, because tomorrow will probably just be a rebuild day. Monday, maybe Tuesday, we'll see. But there's a lot of things you can do with these ratings. I don't want to blow the load a little, too early necessarily. But okay, this is wrong, right? Like that's wrong, right? But I don't want to, throw everything out right away a little too early. But there's a lot of exciting kind of videos we can do. In this one, obviously, you can tell by the title or the thumbnail or both that we are going to be looking at the top 5, or in my opinion, for the top 5 franchise teams to quote-unquote rebuild for Madden 22. And by rebuild, I do mean mainly to play as, but obviously rebuild as well, if you just want to do a rebuild. But obviously, these are the 32 team rankings. So typically, these teams, and not even typically, these teams will be in the bottom 10, obviously. There's no real reason to rebuild the Chiefs or the Buccaneers or the Packers or the Browns, Ravens, all those teams. These guys are on the topper, the higher end teams. Washington, maybe you can make an argument for, quarterback situation's iffy, tight end situation's iffy, wide receiver situation. They've had like a guy. Well, they got two guys. Yeah, their wide receivers are set. Running back, Gibson's okay, but yeah, that defense is loaded. Raiders are an 81 overall, but I don't really feel this is a fair rating. They are lacking quite a bit, and they do have a lot of aging pieces. The Colts, they're fair ratings, but this is another team that I think is a decent rebuild team. Really good O-line, which is obviously, inflating the overall a little bit. Wide receivers, they've got a couple of decent names, but no one really necessarily established. Running backs are easily the best room there. Quarterback situation, with or without Wentz, is still a question mark in Madden specifically. You need a tight end. Defense, the pass rush is a little bit of an issue. You have Darius Leonard, but everyone else is kind of iffy on the defense for the most part. So there are a lot of question marks on the Colts. Definitely not that bad of a team to use either. The Bears, meh. You get the Dolphins, which we are obviously one of the teams we're going to be for next year. The Giants, Vikings. There's a lot of good teams in here, but they aren't the exact team, who is it? Who is it? The first team we're going to start with, which could be, I wouldn't say necessarily a shocker, but, just because of the quarterback situation is questionable, and that is the Houston Texans. Now, in this scenario, I would say getting rid of Watson is probably the best way to make this the most fun and potentially the most realistic, right? Like, he was, constantly demanding a trade. He has all those allegations against him. Realistically, it's not necessarily do the Texans want to trade him, or will he be gone, or should be gone. It's really just they probably can't repair the situation, and they want to get some good compensation. If I'm trading Deshaun Watson and he gets cleared of all the allegations, which that's kind of the way things are trending, the trade value has to be astronomical, right? Like, we're talking 2-3 young good players, 3 to 5 first-round picks. Absolutely insane. I don't even know the scenario. I know there's been arguments that it would be like Tua and Xavier Howard with like several first-round picks or something. I don't know. I really don't know. And as somebody that's going to be the Dolphins franchise, do not do that, please, because Deshaun Watson makes every franchise too easy. But you obviously have plenty of ammo to make the argument for a Deshaun Watson trade, which is what you do. If you're going to be the Texans and you're not trading Deshaun Watson, at least if it's a non-online league, it's not going to be as fun. But if you do not have Deshaun Watson, you have a lot of trade capital, like draft picks. This is one of the top 5 easily. As, of course, Laramie Tunsil's a really decent tackle, which you want one of those, franchise tackles, especially, with a rough offensive line. Brandon Cooks is obviously solid, decent speed. Definitely lost some of it over the years, though. Bradley Roby, definitely on the aging side, but he's good enough. Let's take a look at his man and zone coverage just real quick. Hopefully you guys can actually see that. 86 man, 83 zone. Nothing absolutely spectacular. They have Desmond King, but once again, another guy that's dropped over the years. Young and still probably developable, but once again, 82 man, 86 zone, nothing spectacular. Same with Justin Reed, dropped a little bit over the years. 76 man, 82 zone, nothing really spectacular yet again. Running back is a position you definitely want to replace. Don't get me wrong, Philip Lindsay's got some left in the tank, but overall, he's just, he's not the future there. You know, he's just kind of like a random name. Of course, Randall Cobb not there anymore, but I mean, I'm assuming you probably don't care. All the running backs, other than Philip Lindsay, no one cares. They really don't. Zach Cunningham, a guy that, he's kind of on the older side too now. He's like probably 25. So 77 overall at 25 years old, not super athletic. Not really easy to develop. Shaq Lawson, you need a new pass rusher. The O-line. I mean, you look at this roster, and you're saying Tunsil is a franchise guy. Cooks might be a franchise guy. King is probably a franchise guy. Reed is. And then every other position you can make an argument that you need to replace. And that's the biggest thing for a franchise is replacing those guys. Of course, if you're making the argument to trade Watson, which you should, because once again, there's a lot of, I wouldn't want to say the word evidence because it's kind of, a touchy subject, but there's a lot of reason to believe that he won't be a Houston Texan. But, I mean, obviously, you're looking around. They may have some decent role guys like, Grugier Hill is obviously super fast, but he's old. They've got some role guys. You could probably work Lonnie Johnson as a starter if you wanted to. But overall, they are a team that is obviously in rebuild mode, and there is so many positions to replace. I would imagine Titus Howard is not going to be star anymore. Brevin Jordan is a guy they drafted. A little bit of a questionable pick, but obviously decently athletic. That'd be a starter, I would say. Nico Collins, a fun guy to develop. Not set in stone, but 6'6", decent speed. Might be able to make something happen there. Lots and lots of things to work on and specifically draft. So the Houston Texans, without Watson, are hands down the worst roster in the league. It's not even a close call. They're the worst roster in the league if they don't have Deshaun, but they do. We don't know how this will shake up. I think this is kind of why people are hesitating on what they want to say the Houston Texans are going to be like, but they are without a doubt a top 10 franchise, top 5 to choose for a rebuild, especially if you're going to be trading Watson. Our number 4 team, which is really, really tough for me to put on this list because of that offensive line, is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, just because of their uncertainties on offense. Of course, Fletcher Cox, absolutely god tier, but at the end of the day, he is a DT. So if his abilities suck, as far as a superstar goes, if it's like, 50-50 abilities, which we have seen in the past for superstars and X Factors, he might not be as dominant as his real-life self. Brandon Brooks, obviously, on the aging side. Same with Kelsey. Kelsey would be gone after maybe a year or two. Brooks, maybe the same. Lane Johnson will be there maybe for the rest of your rebuild, but of course, he has dropped in overall significantly. Graham's a one-year guy, if that, with that speed. Goddard's obviously your starting tight end, but he's not, OP. He's just good at catching. He really doesn't have great speed, so he's not that big of a mismatch. And then you can see the ratings do drop off quite a bit. Anthony Harris on the older side, not even that great. 81 overall, probably decent zone and all that, but really slow. Sanders, solid running back. Let's actually take a look at some of his ratings. Sanders with 73 trucking, 88 change of direction, not bad. 78 stiff, 80 spin, 85 juke. I mean, I've seen some rookies with similar ratings, if not better than that. So not really super developed yet. You can still work on him. Javon Hargrave, an absolute disaster for the cap room. Maybe does well in real life, but as far as an in-game even in real life at this point, contract, not super great. Decent finesse move, obviously, but not really the piece you want. But he obviously gives you an issue with the cap, so that obviously makes it a bigger challenge. Zach Ertz, same deal with him with cap, not really a great player. And at this point in Madden, McLeod, another guy that's slow and old. Avonte Maddox, injury-prone. Very good corner, though, obviously, for speed and all that. Derek Barnett, really slow again. So, got to pretty much fix the entire edge, unless you're going to start Sweat, who does have decent potential. I think he's maybe 23, 24 in real life, maybe. So, you might be able to get away with him as your actual starter at one of the spots for the whole thing, if you're lucky. Depends if you get a dev up or not. Devontae Smith, obviously on the slower side, but should be good dev, like superstar. So, he's kind of your lock on offense. The rest, you can see on here, old or just not very great. Greg Ward, kind of on the older side. Definitely, unless you're an Eagles fan, a guy you don't want to develop. Jalen Reagor, the number 2 wide receiver for sure. Travis Fulgham, another guy that's just not good enough to really work with. Jake Elliott, obviously going to have high kick power, was at 97 kick power. Kenneth Gainwell, the rookie, a little lower on the speed stats than I would have liked, but obviously he's not even going to be your starter anyway, so it probably doesn't matter too much. Jalen Hurts, really fun quarterback, even faster than last Madden, I believe. I think he was like 86 speed or something. He's 87 speed, 89 excel, 88 agility, obviously looking really beastly, but 84 throw power. As far as some of the other passing ratings go, I mean, I'm going to imagine he's going to be on the lower end for most of these ratings. As you can see, 84 short, 79 medium, 79 deep, 82 play action, 83 on the run. The question is, where is under pressure? Not that it probably will matter for this first season or two with that offensive line, even though you are missing some, is an 80 throw under pressure. I'm going to be honest, they actually gave him pretty fair ratings. It seems like every quarterback's like in the 80s, which is a little questionable. Mailata, will he be star again? Who knows? Landon Dickerson, 92 strength. Very good stuff. They have him at left guard. I thought he was a true center. I actually have a rebuild of the Eagles coming out tomorrow that I put him at tackle after like the third season or second season because we just needed a left tackle because Mailata gave up like 20 sacks. So you'll see there. Kayvon Wallace, maybe one of the starting safeties if you want to push one of the old guys to the curb, which I probably would. But overall, as you can see here, if you take away the offensive line, the Eagles have, at least in Madden, potentially the worst roster in the league. In real life, I can't really say that, but without that O-line, I don't think they're that great of a squad. Of course, you also have Davion Taylor, who's super fast. What else do we have? Quez Watkins, another speed guy you could work with, probably would be my number 3. Jacoby Stevens, I'd probably put him at middle linebacker because that's realistically where I would assume he would be better fit for the Eagles, at least. That's where he would get the most play time. And then you have the converted quarterback to tight end, the 6'7" guy, Tyree Jackson, 83 speed, 88 excel. I feel like he should have been faster than that, but we're not going to argue that. Maybe you want to put him at quarterback. Of course, 93 throw power. Not bad. But yeah, the Eagles are my number 4 team. Had a tough one with this one. Maybe they should have been number 5, and then the Texans at number 4. Because obviously the Texans were like one of the clear cuts that I wanted on the top 5. But let's move on to number 3. The rest are all guaranteed. I'm not worried about it. Not one question mark remaining. Number 3 is the Atlanta Falcons. I think, quote-unquote, the worst offense of all of these teams just because there's the most question marks going forward. Technically, with the Eagles, you have your quarterback, most likely. Running backs probably set. Your number 1 and 2 wide receivers are set. Your tight end set. And your O-line for a few years is set. Whereas with the Falcons, you have your number 1 wide receiver set, your number 1 tight end set, and then everything else is a question mark, right? Like Matt Ryan, 85 throw power, literally like Jalen Hurts throw power, but he's not fast. So not super fun, regresses fast. That the biggest issue isn't going for a new quarterback. It's when can you realistically let Matt Ryan go? Is it after year 1, I would assume? I have no idea. But, of course, you have Kyle Pitts as the premier guy, the number 1 guy you would probably want to choose this team for just because of fun. Obviously, Calvin Ridley's a freak, so we're not going to argue about that. Grady Jarrett, really good defender. And I don't know why I said defender like that, but really good defender. But once again, similar to Fletcher Cox, is an interior guy, so not going to make as much of a difference as if, you had like a Khalil Mack on the edge or something. I'm not saying Grady's on his level, but Fletcher Cox is kind of on that level-ish. So, fair argument there. Deion Jones, I mean, he's a fast middle linebacker. There's a lot of fast middle linebackers. That's not a crazy OP player for them. He's really good, obviously, but it's not like a deal breaker. Jake Matthews, he's an okay lineman, but overall on the aging side and very expensive. Mike Davis would not be my starter long term. I mean, realistically, he doesn't really even bring anything to the table that's really that fun, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mike Davis, 84 truck move. He's all right. He's all right, but I'd probably be looking for a new running back rather soon-ish. Young Oku, he's a kicker. Lindstrom, starting guard, I would keep him there. Free safety, old. Oluokun, fast. Middle tier age, fun to use. Hayden Hurst, really old. Try to trade him if you can. Probably won't get the value that they actually paid for him, which I, at the time, thought was way too high. AJ Terrell, super fun cornerback because he's young, but far from established. So obviously you have to work on him a little bit with, where is his ratings? 76 man, 79 zone, but obviously young, great height, great, athletic ability. Cordero Patterson, fun kick returner. But as you can see, the ratings just keep dropping and dropping. Sheffield, decently young, athletic, obviously. But you can see here, they've got some issues with players, with starting talent. Richie Grant, starting safety right out the gate for you after losing Keanu Neal. The offensive line's a big issue. Obviously, realistically, if we're looking at this roster, all of the positions, so you have one wide receiver locked in. The rest is a question mark. Running back, if you want to rock Mike Davis for the long term, you can. Speed's lacking. Agility's lacking. I would say he's more of a number 2. You need a quarterback. You need every offensive lineman position outside of 2. You need, 3. You need maybe 1 linebacker. You need corners. You need safeties. You need pass rush. You need basically everything. So as far as looking around the league for which talent, which teams have, the lacking skill positions, Pitts obviously was a huge addition. I would assume the Falcons knew they were going to let Julio go or trade him, because otherwise Pitts just kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But now it's like, Pitts kind of saves them a bit in the skill position department. But overall, a decent bit to work on with the Falcons, and as we've seen before, a bottom 10 overall team based on, once again, overall. And they are our number 3 team. Number 2 has to go to the Detroit Lions, and I probably would have had them as one of my favorite, or one of my top teams, but C4 did them a bunch of times last year, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to leave them. And then another big factor is they have Goff. We had our Rams franchise, and they have some decent talent, but they are lacking tremendously. Frank, obviously, starting center, maybe put him at tackle. Hawkinson's a good tight end, right? He's a really good tight end, but he isn't a crazy mismatch guy, so it's not like you're going to have too easy of a time being overpowered. I'm going to spoil it now. Raiders are not our number 1 team. The reason why is Ruggs, super mismatch. Not really that fun. We know speed kills in Madden. 2 OP. Darren Waller, basically maybe even the best tight end in Madden at this point, depending on what kind of Dev Pitts has, because of how fast and big he is. But the Lions don't have that. And even then, their talent surrounding isn't even that great. So, the Brockers, he's old. He's all right. Trey Flowers, he's slow. He's okay. Punter, one of their shining moments. Jamie Collins is old as hell. Romeo Okwara, another guy that's middle age for franchise at least, slow as hell. Tyrell Williams, old. DeAndre Swift, he's young, but his ratings, especially as a 5'9" guy, aren't insane. 72 trucking, 85 juke move. If we looked at all these other ratings, he's worse than Mike Davis, and he is small. So you have that. DeAndre Swift, he's not developed yet. You can develop him. Taylor Decker, okay lineman, serviceable. Jamal Williams, decent number 2 trucking guy. Once again, Jared Goff, a guy you look to replace early, but I imagine his ratings are pretty decent. So if you want to actually make Jared Goff that dude like we did in Rams franchise, you could do it, I would imagine, right? 90 short, 86 medium, 81 deep. I'm almost wondering if you need to be in the high 80s, 88 plus, to be a good quarterback in this game, because everyone's a good quarterback, it seems, based on ratings. I don't know. To be fair, in real life, it does kind of seem that way, that the league average is starting to get to almost elite status of 20 years ago, right? Just because of the way the rules are and all that. Aruwari, young, developable. Perriman, decent return man, but too old to develop. Deshaun Hand, kind of too old to develop, but workable. Sewell's definitely, your franchise piece. Assuming he's superstar. Okuda's got to be at least star, maybe superstar. Obviously, one of your franchise corners going forward. Tavai's too slow to really be that dude. You'd probably replace him rather quickly. McNeil, strength is good, so might even put him as one of the starting defensive linemen. But as you can see, this team has a lot to work on. They're easily my number 2. Could have even been my number 1. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you just can't use them. So, basically, they were lacking to begin with. They were a rebuild team. And according to EA, their draft, outside of 1 to 2 guys, are just a bunch of unusable players in the terms of Madden. So realistically, you have Tim Boyle, so that obviously is a really good player. That's your god. So realistically, I mean, you have to replace almost the entire freaking roster, but that's the fun part, and you also get those extra draft picks. So the Lions are number 2, could have been number 1, but with a lot of my polls, you might have already seen, my number 1 is going to be the Jets, just because they do have that fun quarterback. If you want the challenge, it might be Detroit at this point. Detroit might be worse, but looking at the Jets, their number 1 player is a DT, so, I mean, that probably tells you something. I know the Lions was a center, but number 1 is DT. Marcus May is definitely serviceable, definitely serviceable, young enough. Mosley is a guy you want to replace. Carl Lawson you can't replace, but he's decent enough. He actually is a guy you want to start. Corey Davis, 83 overall, solid. A guy that you can't replace either. Becton, solid. Jamison Crowder, decent, replaceable. Joyner, definitely replace him. Rankins, can't really replace him, but he's not very good. John Franklin Myers is a starter, but he's on the older side for Madden once again. Receivers, though, I mean, outside of Corey Davis, you got to get someone new. I believe they do have the rookie that you would definitely use as well, but a team that obviously drops off pretty fast as well. You have a DT that's, you're really your big men on the defense is really the best part of New York outside of their quarterback situation. But yeah, this is another team that obviously is a super rebuild type team. Zach Wilson, decently fast with that really good throw power, 94 obviously. Ashton Davis kind of on the other side, but fast. You need a new running back for sure. You can definitely use Tevin Coleman as your starter if you want. Michael Carter just isn't going to cut it. He's just too slow in Madden. Unless they change all the rookies to really slow, you could easily replace him. Elijah Vera Tucker, you would hope he's hidden as well, which would make their O-line actually not that bad, but still someone you need to, you have to replace a little bit on that line. But yeah, obviously the Jets have a lot of things to replace, and they're kind of the hot topic team for, rebuilding. The division's tougher than some of the other divisions. I know Detroit has a tough division, but you can interchange number 2 and 1. I would maybe even almost say that the Lions are a tougher rebuild team just because Zach Wilson is kind of like established already in Madden. So maybe Detroit is number 1. Maybe the Jets are number 1. I did have more talking points for Detroit as well, so that probably proves something. But overall, if I had to say which team is worse, yeah, it probably would be Detroit. I'd say Detroit is my number 1. I'd actually say Detroit's my number 1 just because of the quarterback position. If you switch quarterbacks or both teams have like a 77 overall quarterback, I'd probably say Detroit. But the Jets have Mekhi Becton, whether he's superstar again or not. Super good left tackle, freaking anchor, some really solid defenders, and then obviously that quarterback position. You just can't overvalue number 2 overall quarterback with 94 throw power, decent speed ratings. I mean, realistically, they built him like a better Andrew Luck out the gate. So, yeah, I would actually probably change it. So, Houston Texans are my number 4, actually. So, Philly at number 5, Houston at 4, Atlanta at 3, Jets at 2, and Detroit Lions as the number 1 rebuild team for Madden 22, whether that's an actual rebuild or using them as a franchise team, which is more what this was catered to, but I suppose it kind of works as a double. Anyways, hopefully the video wasn't too long. Let me know if I wouldn't say made a mistake because I don't make mistakes, but maybe there's a team that I missed and you're just like, clearly it's this team. I know once again we've been talking about a lot of you guys want the Giants. We'll actually take a quick look at the Giants and I'll show you why I don't want to be. I mean, I want to be them. I really do. I think they're fun, but I think they've done too much, at least in the terms of Madden. Once again, a lot of these teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars in Madden are kind of a low-rated team. In real life, there's a lot of question marks, but based on the ratings, then the overalls and ages we see and devs that we're going to probably see, they are one of the top-tier teams. But we got to get rid of the Jets here. I know it's confusing, 2 New York teams there. But you look at the Giants, you have your number 1 corner stacked, number 1 running back set. Kenny Golladay, whether he's superstar or not, he's a jump ball god. Leonard Williams, solid. Mismatch god and Evan Ingram. We don't talk about Logan Ryan. Sterling Shepard, another starting caliber wide receiver. Starting caliber corner, Adoree Jackson. Starter in Dexter. Starter in Jabril. Definite starter wide receiver in Slayton. Julian Love is on the lower side, obviously, but young, usable. Lorenzo Carter, super fast. Xavier McKinney, probably star again. Looking at the number 2 spot, we have super fast wide receiver in John Ross. Hernandez, if he's normal, their line does suck. Daniel Jones, super fast. I mean, look at the speed there. Kadarius Toney, another rookie wide receiver. Ojulari, another guy that's probably going to be star. Andrew Thomas, I think it's harsh to give him normal, but if he's normal, I suppose their O-line does drop a bit. But they just have so much. If you could tell me that they get rid of some of these offensive player talent, maybe. And even now, I'm looking at the team, maybe we still have a chance to use them, but there's just so many players that are like already set. Like, you have to fix linebacker. Pass rush, in real life, yes. In Madden, I don't know. Maybe you draft one edge rusher and you're done. Cornerbacks, you don't need to get anyone. Safeties, you don't need to get anyone. O-line, you have to work on. Wide receivers are set. Tight end set. Running back set. Quarterback seems to be set. So we would be doing a franchise where, yes, we do have to develop everyone. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead. Maybe that's my problem. I'm thinking too far ahead. But realistically, going into the draft, the only positions I can think of that we would draft is one edge, 2 or 3 offensive linemen, and a linebacker or 2, and you're done. Like, it's just not, you look at Detroit, what do you have to draft? You have to draft edge, maybe a DT, a few offensive linemen, wide receiver or 2, quarterback, cornerback, safety. There's a lot to draft. Same with Atlanta. Wide receiver or 2, maybe a running back, definitely some O-linemen, basically the entire defensive line. One linebacker wouldn't hurt. Corner, obviously. Safety, obviously. With the Giants, like 1 or 2 positions. Everyone else, you have guys, have positions to replace. So, I don't know. Make the case for the Giants. I know you guys really want me to use them. Make the case. I don't know. Make the case, and maybe we'll do them. Regardless, that is going to be the video for, one of the many videos today regarding the ratings. I think our top 5 is solid. Once again, let me know if there's a team that you think I clearly made a mistake on that should be there or shouldn't. And that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed these videos, which I've been enjoying making, which seems like you guys have been enjoying watching or enjoyed watching, maybe leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Ton of franchise-related stuff, ton of Madden-related stuff, whether it's actual Madden 22, Madden 22 ratings, or just Madden 21 until we wait for Madden 22. A lot of it's going to be on the channel. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you guys come back for next video. But until next video, see ya!